Hey YouTube, we're going to talk about things going on in the world around us, and I get to enjoy the outside for a little bit. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, once again, California is on fire. I know there's a fire really close to Tahoe, and actually, California has done something I don't think they've ever done. They just closed every single one of their national forests, which includes national parks like Yosemite. 20 million acres of land now closed to the public because of these fires, so that's absolutely insane. But first day of clear air in a couple weeks up here in the Bay Area, so pretty stoked about that. What I'm actually here to talk about is stuff not enough people are talking about, and more people need to be talking about, and that's obviously Afghanistan. I feel like everyone's talking about Afghanistan, but there are still just more and more things that are happening that need to be said. First and foremost, I think more people need to know about how much of a piece of shit Joe Biden is. For those of you who don't know, the mother of a slain Marine got to speak to Biden. Biden approached her to speak. I don't know if it was at the funeral or somewhere like that, or he went out of his way to talk to her. But they were face to face, and she was told by Biden, "I know how you feel," which is bullshit because his son didn't die in combat, and it's kind of his fault that this whole thing happened. So, kind of a piece of shit thing to say. And she, of course, says, "No, you don't. Like, how dare you say this isn't about you?" And Biden rolled his eyes at her and walked away. Next, afterwards, she was very upset, so posted about it on Facebook and Instagram. And guess what Facebook and Instagram do? They block her for talking bad about the president and saying something he did. What? Of course, they realized that that's a terrible idea and then reinstated her account. But if that isn't the most fascist thing I've ever heard social media do, I don't know what is. Former president gets banned from social media. Current president does something insanely terrible, and when he gets called out for it, they block the people who say the truth about it. Like, what kind of draconian world are we living in? Further so, but this one actually understandable. There was a Marine who publicly called out Biden on social media, speaking up for his fellow servicemen, and as to how it's absurd that anything like this would even happen. And he actually was fired, let go by the Marines. I understand that the military has different rules, and he could have actually even been court-martialed for speaking out against the commander-in-chief. But it's just stuff like this keeps happening. People keep getting banned for just speaking the truth, and it's insane. And also, one last thing about the whole Biden's ineptitude in this matter is, I don't know if you've seen the pictures or the footage of him when the caskets arrived, but on 5 different occasions he checks his watch. On 5 different occasions he checks his watch. Stark contrast between that and the George Floyd funeral, where Joe Biden turns around, faces the congregation in the church, gets down on his knees, and puts his head down. George Floyd, the guy who died of a fentanyl overdose, who had brandished a knife at a pregnant woman, gets more respect than 18-year-old Marines who died in a suicide bombing, completely the fault of the president. More respect than the actual president. And the media, especially in the left-leaning media, didn't stop talking about George Floyd for months. And now here we are. Of course, someone has to start cutting wood or whatever they're cutting. Here we are, and the left-leaning media wants to just move on. Nancy Pelosi didn't even read the names of the soldiers in the House. We just want to move on from this, and it's like, Whoa, whoa, okay, no, you don't get to hold on to the identity and keep repeating the name of the person who died in the hands of police for months and months and months, which fueled riots all across the nation. And then when it comes to 13 servicemen, the most amount who have died in a day for 20 years, to just sweep them under the rug and block people on the mothers of the children who died on social media? What the hell? You know what's funny about this whole take a moment. People cutting wood or whatever they're cutting. They don't do any yard work, so that surprises the heck out of me. I guess they're, taking advantage of this clear sun. So here's the next thing that really needs to be talked about. A lot of people aren't even talking about the dangerous state of Afghanistan. Two aspects that further prove the dangers of the state of Afghanistan. Glenn Beck, who raised $25 million to help pull people out, was pulling people out of Afghanistan, and then he got blocked at the airports just outside the border, and now he was shooed away. And then a congressman, Representative Mullins, out of was it Iowa or Idaho, went in himself to go pull people out, and he disappeared yesterday. He disappeared. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, we just lost a congressman." Luckily, this morning he just reappeared and had to escape because he ran into some trouble. But these are at the borders of Afghanistan. Biden did say we wouldn't leave until every American is out. That's completely false. There's still a field trip of kids. Like kids, I mean like 18-year-olds in Afghanistan from like Liberty or a university or something in San Diego, fresh out of high school kids stuck in Afghanistan. Remember how much people lost their minds in the 70s when there was one hostage situation, and how much of a complete failure Jimmy Carter was presented to be because of a dozen people held hostage? These are hundreds, maybe thousands of Americans still stuck in Afghanistan. The last thing I think that really needs to be shared and established and more people know about is the Taliban is really botching their own leadership of Afghanistan. They obviously have lost control of their own ranks. There are door-to-door executions happening, and you can listen to that tape online, and it's completely terrifying. But also, their economy is fucked right now. The Taliban has put a limit on bank withdrawals. No one in Afghanistan, at any bank in Afghanistan, can pull out more than $100 or I think $200 at a time of their own currency. So I don't know how much that is. So shopping, no one's shopping anymore. As much as a third of the Afghani population, which is over 10 million people, are trying to escape. So people aren't going to work. People aren't producing food. Supply lines are fucked. There's mass starvation about to happen. So this country is now worse off than they were in 2001 prior to the U.S. invasion. Maybe worse off at any point during U.S. occupation. So, great job, Joe Biden. Look what you did. We could have helped maybe do like we do with the North and South Korean border. It's kept, just a couple hundred troops there to keep the peace. Maintain an air superiority over the nation. But no, now we have a very heavily armed Taliban who's fucking up their own government, parading around in the streets with thousands of armored vehicles, 600,000 American guns, uh, almost 100 Black Hawk helicopters, and now what they're using it for is people hanging on nooses flying over Kabul. This is a power vacuum that's going to lead to more instability in the Middle East, and it's scary because our borders, south of our border, are still wide open. So what the hell's going to happen? September 11th, I would just say, if you're traveling anytime in September, do not fly on September 11th. Avoid heavily populated areas. Everyone should just stay inside on September 11th. Anyways, that's it for me. I'll catch you guys in the next one.